Greetings and salutations. Today I'm in the middle of tearing down more of this mountain here behind me. As you can see, I already put in my beacon. So in this episode we are not really gonna build that much new stuff. I was planning to tear down this mountain, but I figured that was probably a bit boring to watch me do. But also I maybe thought it would be interesting to just get a bit of, real action of what I actually do instead of just time-lapsing everything. But I guess that just looking at me doing this would probably get tedious really fast. Although instant mining is extremely satisfying. At least I think so. So this is just going away instantly. Anyways, we're not gonna be doing this for a long while. My plan today is that, well, first off, the reason why I'm removing this mountain here, or at least some of it, is that I think that the port here is missing some kind of warehouse. And as we talked about in the previous episode, I could expand the harbor or the port more in this direction here. And I think I will by removing basically this chunk and maybe a bit more. So this chunk here and then the chunk I'm standing on to make room for a warehouse or two. Additionally, there also needs to be room somewhere for like, an office of some sort. Just so there's a way where all the official stuff can happen. One could argue that these buildings down here could sort of be an office, but I think that's cheating a bit. These are basically just, checkpoints, and the same with the one for the small road over there. But I think we got a bit too far away from the beacon. There we go again. But today, the idea was to have a look inside the boat. I will fly over there in a moment. I just really need to clear this away because it bothers me that it's not cleared away. Tell you what, I'll just make a quick cut when this is gone and we'll go and have a look at the boat. By the way, it's also quite satisfying just to walk around picking up all of these, because of course when you insta mine all of it, your inventory gets full all the freaking time. But just running around, although it's a bit of a waste of time, I really need to pick up most of it, because this is material, especially the terracotta that is not colored, that can be really useful for, for the roads and stuff, because I can make it any color that I want. Anyways, I think this is enough of me picking up. Let's just pop the last ones in here. I will grab these as well. I can't help it. But then we will go to the boat. Onwards to the boat. So here we have it. Not much has changed, if at least not even anything, I guess, since the last time we took a tour around here. There's nothing inside, there's nothing below, and today I want this to change. So I need to make something out of this room. I think I may actually decide to lower the floor in here a little bit, because I'm not really happy about this tight fit here. I know many times when you're on a boat, it is actually a tight fit from up to down, but I have the option to be a bit creative and have some freedom of creativity here, so I think I'll lower the floor here a level or something. Additionally, we need to go below deck. Let's just pop a hole here. I think that should allow us to go down. I guess it's a bit dangerous down here because I think it's quite the mob farm, as you can see over there. It's almost like a drowned farm. You can see I actually tried to remove a bit of water here with sponges, and I will probably have to do that for the rest of the thing here. And then we'll have to add some containers here. So by studying a bit of how these cargo ships usually work, so in many cases, the deck above here is actually giant plates, or what do you call it? Yeah, plates, I guess, that can be removed, and then the cranes can simply lower containers down here into some kind of, I think sockets is not the right word, but it's kind of like the containers fit down and then they can be stacked up in a room, and then the next and the next, and they kind of like fit into these vertical rails sort of things. that kind of locks them in place. So I think I want to have that here as well. And also I think I want to make a bit of room for people. And if I get to do a bit of detailing, I may want to hide a stowaway passenger or two. I thought that could also be interesting to play around with. But first, I need to clear all the water. And depending on how that goes, I may even make a small time lapse out of it. So, let's see how it goes. So finally I'm done. This took quite a bit more time than I anticipated. Just, flowing down the sponge block does not really help. So I had to section it off and remove it section by section. But as you can see, now it's done. I had to put in a ton of lighting because this was one heck of a mob farm. So let me just get back into my own face here and let's do a fly over here. So I did have a few issues with creepers and blew a few holes in this ship, but I fixed them up again. But for now, this is our hold, cargo hold of the ship. I think we can actually see up here. I guess that's where the what's it called? The control tower of or the bridge is. The building with the bridge in it. So now I need to figure out how to structure this. As I said, I kind of want to have sections for the containers, but also I need a bit of a living quarter. So I think I'll do a bit more research on how these ships actually look in the real world, and then I will try to put something together. Also, I would really love if we could then hide a stowaway somewhere on this ship as well. So let me see what I come up with. So for now, I'll do some research. It's also getting pretty late, so I'll probably continue filming again tomorrow, but that doesn't really matter for you guys, I guess, because that will only be in a minute. So I went ahead and marked up a few things here, and I guess a bit of explanation is required for this. So I may have talked a bit about it earlier in this video. I'm not really sure that yet. I may have edited it out, but otherwise I will just reiterate it with a bit more detail this time. So, below deck, or however you put it on a ship, on a cargo ship, on a container ship, there is a ton of containers. And usually these are in these big kind of sockets. So imagine that you can lift off the plate on top here, and then you can just stack down containers. Of course, in the real world, this is way, 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 way bigger. So in the real world, like some ships can have maybe around 20 in that direction, 20 in that direction. So as you can see, this is quite small. I managed to squeeze in so we can have like 3 containers lined up on this axis here, and I haven't really counted this way here, but I think it's like 6 or 7 maybe. So, but the idea is that these are then loaded in and stacked on top of each other. Usually there's like small things here in the corner, so let's get another block. So imagine that this is a socket for a container. This is like the corner, so it would slide down right here and fit right into this here, and of course in the other end as well. But there is no wall or anything in between. There'll just be another one that can be slid down here, and then they are stacked on top of each other. And right now I kind of marked it with these blocks in between. I'm not really sure I will keep it like that, but it kind of fits and kind of doesn't, because I would like to have a passageway going all the way through the ship on this side, and I would kind of also like to have it on the other side, but right now it's a bit there's a bit of lack of a room. So maybe I'll remove this and shrink the entire thing in up 2 blocks because I can basically save these away. I'm not really sure yet, but this is only to mark up kind of the whole idea. Okay, so here we will have like a ton and ton and ton of containers. I'm not really sure I'm gonna build all of them in. We'll see. But since it's already being loaded on top, it would of course be more realistic if this was just filled. Down here in the stern, that is the rear end of the ship, or the aft, or whatever you want to call it. So here we have the bridge. I'll probably close this off at some point from down here, but right now it's quite nice that I can actually see where it is. And here in the stern, there will be the machine room. So I have not marked that off yet because my main concern was getting to where the containers are, and then basically the rest here will be a mix of living quarters, the galley, the kitchen, and the machine room. And up here, of course, we have the whole bridge thing that also needs to have the insides furnished. So yeah, so that is the plan for now. This is, oh well, I'm still in the planning phase, you could say, right? Yeah, so I will do a bit more thinking. At least I'm getting to learn a bit about cargo ships. I've been studying quite a bit in my time off. Actually, I have a video running right next to me recording right now. Of course, it's paused right now. Looking into how the personal quarters and stuff are. And surprisingly, they are quite big. And usually on not a ship like this, because again, it's quite small compared to the real stuff, but sometimes there's only like a handful of people on board to crew the entire ship. That is quite impressive. Anyways, I will continue with this. I think I might remove these beams in between here. Maybe we should just agree that that is how I'm gonna do it. That will give me a bit more room for the passageways through the ship at the sides here. It will make it a bit more messy in here. Not messy actually, but it will be hard to see because I can just stack containers together. But of course, I guess that allows me to cheat a bit with the building. But of course, I will not be doing that. I will not have empty spaces in between. And if I will of course light it up at least. But yeah, so maybe we should just start stacking up some containers in here and see where that leads us. I think that's the next step. So I guess if I can get the camera to fit in and get some good footage, we'll do a bit of container building time-lapsing. So far, so good. So as you can see, I decided to keep the rows between the containers, mainly so that, well, I guess you can actually kind of enjoy them. You can go and see the containers. I know these are simple patterns, but it just felt a bit weird to build stuff that you would never really see. So I kept these small spaces between, smaller than on the deck, so that you can still explore around down here. Also, I decided to put down some iron trapdoors. I'm pretty sure these should be spawn proof as long as they are in the lower part of the block. So I will just go around now and put this down all over the place. As you can see, I put down a few light sources here and there because I kept having monsters spawning here, which was not really optimal while building all this. But now I'll just quickly pop down some of these all over the place. And I'm not done with all these containers. As you can see, there are what we notice that there's a hole here because I am like literally all out of concrete. I have no more yellow concrete at least, and I need a few yellow concretes to finish that container there. And also, let me just build these here as well. There, as I said earlier, there could be, I guess, 5 or 6, maybe 7 rows of these, but that is actually not true unless we go for the full length of the ship, which we won't. But right now, I think we have 3 rows, and we have room for 1 more row before I have to start working on the engine room, the galley, and the living quarters. So here, there will be room for an additional 3 rows of containers, but as I said, I'm out of materials. By materials, I mean concrete. As you can see, some of these were built with terracotta, and some of the designs here are a mix of terracotta and concrete. And I did come up with one new design that wasn't on the outside of the ship. Kind of this one. Initially, I wanted to do like a banana, but doing a banana that looks decent on like a small container or like a small surface of like this was quite hard. So I ended up with just, alternating brown and yellow terracotta. And the reason I wanted to have a banana container is apparently that is one of the things that are being shipped quite a lot because it's extremely cheap to produce, because nature does it, and it has its own wrapping, the peel. So basically, apparently, it's some goods that are being traveled around the world quite a lot. So I figured I needed at least a few containers with bananas here as well. But for now, I will not be doing these. I need to grind materials. I am literally out of sand. I have 3 sand blocks to my name back at my base, and that is simply just not enough. So now I will just fill in all this iron here hoping it makes it spawn proof. Also, I don't want to have all these light sources around here. I always keep talking about having, hidden light sources, but if I were to put light sources in the floor here, this actually leads directly down, let's just poke a hole here, down to the ocean. Because this is the very, very bottom of the ship. So that will not do, because I would hate to, when I'm swimming around outside, to have a weird light source all of a sudden. So I'm doing it the hard way and the expensive way, and this also costs quite a bit of iron, but I also kind of like that there is like these walkways between here, like made of iron. A lot of, at least it seems like when you take a look around a lot of cargo ships and stuff, that some of these walkways may be lined with kind of iron or whatever, some kind of metal sheets at least. But I will make sure that I get the rest done here. Now that I started, I have a hard time stopping again. But the next thing we want to look at now is at least to mark off the rooms for the machine room and the personal living quarters. I don't think I will have time to decorate them in this video, but at least I will mark them off and build the rooms, just bare bones. So I will just finish up putting down these iron ways here, and we will have a look at the outlining of the rooms. So quite a bit later, and I finally managed to divide the entire hold up into sections. So let's jump down there and have a look. So first off, I need to get in the store. First off, I changed the flooring here. Before it was just smooth stone. Now I replaced it with, I think this is gray terracotta, light gray terracotta. So you can go down here. I only put a staircase down in one side, although I like the symmetry. I didn't bother to put it down there because down here I could then have this room here, and well, I guess it at least gave a slightly bit more room. Maybe that's a bad reason, because this actually doesn't take much of the room anyways. Maybe it was just laziness, I'm not really sure. At least I didn't. So you can only go down in this direction here, and then you end up here in this hallway. So these are basically just supposed to be, like these small cupboards with, what do you call it, life vests. Could also be some first aid kits in there, whatever. And then there's a long pathway here, and a very, very long pathway over here as well. Well, it's the same length. And I wanted to detail these pathways here a bit, because, or passageways is probably a more correct word for it. So it is seemingly random. I just put down some pipes and some railings, just to make it look a bit, I don't know, less boring. Only downside is that now it's a bit harder for me to go with rockets because I keep crashing into stuff because I, of course, put stuff on both sides. But this is the passageway, and it goes all the way through the ship on both sides. We'll have a look inside these in a moment. So down here, this leads down to the engine room. And as I said, I am not doing any of the building of these rooms today. I'm only kind of marking them out. But the idea is you get in here or from the other side. It's basically mirrored there. And then I was planning to do some kind of walkway on some kind of scaffolding, maybe on iron bars or something that goes along here, and then you can go down here. Probably. So these actually goes directly out to the propellers outside the ship. I can show you in a bit later. But this is basically the base of the propellers. So the idea is I will probably put some kind of turbine engine or something. I don't know what they're called even, but some kind of engine stuff on top of this here. And then the idea was kind of that these walkways here would be to access the upper part, and you can then access the lower part from down here, where there are also doors going out to these walkways here. And these are somewhat smaller. And my plan is to put these what do you call these again? Well, these things here on the floor all the way across, but I kind of ran out. I do have more iron. I just need to go back to my base to grab it, so I will have to add that a bit later. Also, everything that is red is basically the bottom of the ship, so yeah, I don't have any extra red terracotta on me, so I'm not going to poke a hole in the ship to show you because it'll probably drop right through. Anyways, and the same we have here, walkway all the way through. Again, there's not much detail done or anything here, and these are meant to be less frequented, I guess, because it doesn't really lead anywhere. It's a blind road, or it's a dead end in both ends, except for this one goes to the machine room here. But it does have a bit of a purpose because you can go into the container room or cargo hold or whatever you want to call it from here. So keep in mind, as I mentioned earlier, I ran out of materials, so I still need to do a few containers. So there will be a stack here, here, and here as well. It doesn't really make sense to me not to fill up the cargo hold because then there wouldn't really be anything on top. So, I mean, containers on the deck, right? That would make no sense not to fill the cargo hold up first. So eventually I'll put down those extra containers. And I think the interesting part is in here. I like it that it's a bit dark, and it should be monster proof. I've been testing it for a while now and doesn't seem to be spawning anything here. But I really like it. It kind of feels like going through, yeah, well, the containers because of, and that's where I think the logos actually make it work, because if you remember an episode or two ago, I contemplated if I wanted to have these logos on because they are kind of a bit I think, in a lack of a better word, they're a bit extravagant, right? Because you normally this just be like a box with maybe a few words on it. But walking here, it would have been extremely dull just to have like boxes of color here. So I really enjoy it. Of course, when you go through this array here, there's nothing except for the colors, but these are also not that long, right? So these small pathways here kind of breaks it up. And remember, I also mentioned earlier in the video that I wanted to have like a blind passenger, sort of a stowaway. I still need to close this off. Maybe I actually have something I can close this with. Let's see, can we put this here? No, that was the wrong direction. Let me try that again. Can we put you here and then close you? Okay. That's not going the way I wanted to. Let's try one more time. There. Nope. I have been working so much with these. I just have to do it like this, of course. There we go. I just want to check if I can still get in. And I can. Awesome. Okay, so we'll put that there. I'll quickly put the other one in as well. Otherwise, I'll just forget it, because you can also get in from here. And here it's really creepy dark, but it should still be safe here. So let's just close this one here. So basically I added a bit of crawl space. I don't really know if there are any of that on a real cargo ship because that's not really the part they show in the documentaries and videos about those. But I took the liberty of adding a bit of crawl space here, like there's some air ducts or something. So here you can crawl through. There's, like a room here, air duct going up here. And maybe I should just take out an end rod because I guess on this video here it's going to be extremely dark. But if I put this down here, you can see that that's kind of like an air duct here. I like to put the black concrete behind it so it just looks like it goes up into darkness there. Make it, so make it feel a bit bigger. And the same we kind of have over here as well. And the interesting part, I'm really curious how much you can see, but now we are crawling in here. And this is where the stowaway lives. I was struggling a bit with finding the correct light source because I tried with, first off with a lantern because that felt like the right choice. But once you have a lantern here, it actually lights up the entire tunnel. Then I tried with, the blue lanterns, and that was slightly better, but still you could kind of see the lighting coming when you were looking, in from out of these vents out here. You could kind of see the light coming from in here. And of course, we don't want our stowaway to be caught. So I tried also with a redstone torch, and that was probably the best results light-wise, except for this one, of course. But it just felt weird to have a redstone torch here. But we put a candle in and it worked. I had my daughter help me out with a few of the ideas. So she came up with that he should have some way to sleep. So this is basically just, a sleeping bag or whatever he can sleep on. Maybe just a sleeping mat even. We imagine that this is like a poor boy that is trying to go away or whatever. And here we have like two pots. This is the pee pot and this is the poop pot. And if we add a bit of light here, you can even see that it has a different color beneath this one, just to emphasize that it's the poo pot. And then for some reason he managed to sneak in a barrel where he keeps all his stuff. He has a bit of food, not really high quality, but it's maybe he's going out on the ship stealing food once in a while, and it doesn't really last that long in this barrel here. Also have some spider eyes that he can, I guess, eat. A few spare candles, and I had to give him a flint and steel, so he actually got the one I was using, so I need to make a mental note to grab myself a new one. He has a book. We also considered actually writing like a small book for him, and maybe I would one day, like a journal or whatever. I don't really know. My daughter at least suggested that, but for now we just put in a book because this is like minor details, but it just could be fun, to have like a whole story or a journal written in this book at some point. So who knows? Maybe if I hit my head at some point, I might actually go and do that. And a few extra flower pots. I should have been smart and renamed these because, of course, these are, well, toilets, basically. Yeah, so it's a really small place, but I like these small gems, like hidden things here. And that's also why I initially I just wanted to make like a simple crawl space headed straight here, but I wanted to have like a few extra, nook and crannies or whatever you call it. So you didn't go there directly when going in here. And I had limited space. So, but this is how it ended up, and I really like that part. I guess it's also the like only really decorated part as well. And if you notice as well, I used a few different blocks in here to nuance it up, to make the crawl space there. But there's, I think, two more things we need to have a look at. Again, remember, these have not been finished. They have only kind of been marked out where I want them to be. So in here, as we had the passageways up here, and in here, there's nothing. But as you can see, there's two doors there on the other side as well, and these are supposed to be, the crew quarters. So there will be like 4 small quarters here for the crew to live in. And down here we have the galley. So the idea is that there will be these rooms up here, and the galley or kitchen or whatever you want to call it will be down here. I haven't really decided if it's going to be like a small, kitchen thing with a dining table for the crew, or how I'm going to do that yet. Also, I kind of discovered a tiny mistake I made because up here is the bottom of the, the bridge up there. And I had the idea that I wanted the stairs to go all the way down here so we can, go in both ends of the ship, basically. But if I want to build stairs down here, that would cost me one of the cabins for the personnel or the crew. And maybe I will have to do that because it feels a bit weird that you can only go in this end of the ship, because it also feels like a safety issue that there's only one way away, up to the deck or below deck, even if you're upstairs. So I guess we'll have to sacrifice one of these rooms here for the greater good of safety. But I think that was it for now. Oh yeah, that's one more thing we probably should have a quick look at. I already showed you. So the room up here in the end here, like from what I understand, is that usually you wouldn't really have the crew at the front of the ship. You would have at the bow. I think they call it in T speak. Mostly would be gathered at the stern, at the aft of the ship. So I was considering to also use this as a small storage room. Tini's also suggested that because, as you said, it's likely that some of the stuff they transport is maybe too fragile or even too valuable to be put into huge containers. Then maybe we'll have a room here with like chests or barrels, or maybe even some displays of the more valuable stuff. So let's see what I come up with. But this could definitely be like a room where we keep the more expensive stuff. And maybe we would also do that up here, unless I come up with a more practical use for this room here as well. Anyways, I guess it's time to wrap up this episode. So I wanted to do that by standing here on my newest favorite build, this lovely crane here. I know we didn't really touch this one today, but I just love it here. I like all the mechanical bips and bobs that are in this one here. Also, I actually like the mechanical ones better on the red one, but as a whole, I prefer this yellow crane here. Anyways, we also have like a good view of the ship that we worked on today, although all of it was on the inside, I guess. But that was it for this episode. So in the next episode, we will be doing a bit of grinding. As you know, I ran out of materials, especially concrete. So I would need to go grind a lot of sand. I'll do some of the grinding off camera, but I think I'll also time lapse some of it in the next episode. Also, I guess we'll do a bit more detailing on this ship here in the next episode, and then I think it's about time to move on, at least temporarily, to something else, because to be honest, I'm getting a bit tired of this port stuff here. Don't get me wrong, I really enjoy building it, but I also feel like we are kind of neglecting the whole city back here that is not really loaded in, and I want to add a bit more stuff there as well. And I guess we can revisit this here then in a later episode, but I'm getting ahead of myself. We can discuss all that in the next video. So thank you so much for watching. Don't forget to leave a like down here somewhere. There's a button you can do that with. If you leave a dislike, at least please let me know why. That would be really helpful. Also, hit the subscribe button and the bell and all that YouTuber jazz there. Anyways, thank you so much for watching, and you'll see me in the next video. Bye!